Okay? Both boys and girls make the same sex hormones. The main ones are testosterone and estrogen. Boys make a lot of testosterone, not so much estrogen. Okay? Girls make lots of estrogen and not so much testosterone. Okay? I got that? I understand. What will I look like when I grow up? Now, that depends mostly on your hereditary. The genes you got when an egg cell and a sperm cell from your birth parents came together to make the cells that develop into you. Okay, and I'll put a scripture here if y'all write that down, Numbers 1 and 18, if y'all want to go read that. And that'll, talk a little bit more about your genes and your hereditary. Okay. And this is just a picture of a young lady, and then she kind of, and that's Esau, so y'all don't mind her, okay? All right, next slide. Okay. Genes mostly determine how tall you will grow, the color of your hair, the size and shape of your breasts, and your overall body shape. Other things that affect our body are the foods we eat, how active we are, and how much sleep we get. Okay, so it's very important. When you start puberty, start taking care of yourself. Exercising, start eating healthier foods, fruits, vegetables, drink water. In the long run, that's going to benefit you, okay? And water is really good for you. You don't, especially skin problems. If you have skin problems, acne, anything like that, water is going to be what's going to help, okay? Next slide. What are the sex organs? These parts are also called the reproductive organs and genitals. Okay, so we have a picture, a little diaphragm here of a vagina, okay?
Pay attention, pay attention.
So, the vulva, we're going to talk about the anatomy of it, okay, you guys? Okay. The vulva, the area of soft skin between a female's legs. That's what the vulva is, okay? Then you have the clitoris. The area of soft skin between, I'm reading the same thing. Small organ made of nerves and tissue at the top where the lips join. And that's, if y'all can see that, right where Zari is pointing, okay? Then you have the labia. Soft folds of skin that cover the inner parts. Now that part may grow darker and bigger at puberty, okay? Next slide.
Okay, hold on, go back.
Okay, go back.
Okay, go back to the vagina diagram, please.
Slide 16.
Okay, so as you guys are looking here, you have the labia majora, which is the larger part of the lips, right? Then you have the inner part, okay? So I want you guys to pay attention to this because we're going to discuss how to bathe and shower yourself properly. So you need to understand your anatomy, that there's a lot of creases and folds and things like that. This area right here between your vagina and your anus is called the perineum, okay? It's a little piece of skin right here that separates the vagina and the anus, okay? So remember that because we're going to talk about this later.
Okay, back to slide 17. Okay, and we have the urethra. Now this is not a sex organ. It's a tiny opening that urine comes out from the bladder. So whenever you use the restroom, that is what that's called, is the urethra, okay? Then you have the vaginal opening, and that is just the entrance to the vagina. And then you have the hymen, thin piece of skin that may cover part of the opening of the vagina, okay? Next slide. The parts on the inside are, you have a uterus, okay? And uterus, sometimes called the womb, is a muscular organ about the size of a pear where developing a baby called a fetus grows and is fed. and also where the period comes from. So you probably can't see that line, you guys, but there's a line pointing to that triangle looking shape there. Okay, that is the uterus. Okay, and then the vagina is the passageway joining outside in the uterus. Okay, next slide. The parts on the inside, you have the fallopian tubes. And those are narrow tubes between the uterus and the ovary. Okay, so these little squiggly lines coming out on the side, looking right here, are the fallopian tubes. The ovaries, which those look like eggs right there, yeah. Glands that make egg cells and female sex hormones. So those are your ovaries. And you guys, this is all going on in this region. So y'all know, okay? This is where all this is. Okay, and then you have the cervix. The lower part of the uterus has opening through which menstrual fluid can pass out of the uterus or sperm can enter. And that's that part right there. Next slide. So what are periods and why do they happen? So let's read Leviticus chapter 15 and 19. And if a woman have an issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put away 7 days, and whatsoever touch her shall be unclean until the even. So you know, when you have your period, you have your menstrual, it can go from anywhere from 3 to 7 days. It just depends. We'll get more in detail on that. Okay, so girls are born with hundreds of thousands of tiny eggs called ova. One is called an ovum. So you girls you're born with eggs, okay? These egg cells are only half formed. At puberty, hormones tell the ovaries it is time to start releasing ova. Okay? This is at puberty. Okay? Usually one egg at a time matures and is released from an ovary. Next slide. So what are periods and why do they happen? We touched on it just a little bit in the previous slide. It says, at the same time, the uterus starts to grow a thick lining on the inside wall. The lining has lots of tiny blood cells. The lining is there to protect and feed an egg that has combined with the sperm to form a fertilized egg. Okay, next slide. So what are periods and why do they happen? If an egg does not meet a sperm, the lining is not needed. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. It breaks up, okay? Mixed with some blood, it comes out the uterus into the vagina and then out the vaginal opening. This is called menstruation, okay? But lots of females just call it their period. So that's what a period is. You got those eggs in there, they're not needed anymore, so it breaks up. Blood, all that gets in there and it has to come out, okay?
Can we go back to the slide that had the diagram of the vagina so you guys can have a visual? What slide was that? 16?
Yeah, 16.
No, not the vagina. I'm sorry, the uterus.
Oh, 19.
Okay. So every month, this is your ovaries, right? So this is where all your little eggs are stored, right? So every month, one will come out and will travel down the fallopian tubes, and it'll implant in this lining right here. This is your uterus, okay? Now, if a married woman deals with her husband and sperm enters and it meets that egg and it fertilizes, okay, it then grows into a baby and this uterus gets bigger and bigger and bigger. However, for you guys who do not have husbands, this egg will travel down the fallopian tube, implant itself on this lining right here, okay? And because it's not fertilized by sperm, this lining will get thick and then it'll break down. And break down means it sloughs off and it turns into blood. And it'll come out this way. So this is your vagina. This is the exit. It'll exit this way. Okay, so that's just to give you guys a visual.
Okay. It says, if a woman is not pregnant, then her ovary will release another egg. The lining buildup, and if the egg is not fertilized, she has another period. Okay? This is called the menstrual cycle. Okay, so you're going to be on a cycle, and we'll touch on that here. Next slide. It says, how do girls feel about having periods? I don't want to get too nosy, but how do y'all feel about starting your period if you haven't? Y'all, nobody was saying that? Y'all want to interact with the people online? No? Does anybody feel happy? No. Sad? Angry? It's like, angry. Okay. What about weird? Feel weird? Kind of, do you feel mature? Like, you're a woman? Little
Everybody
woman?
asks us that. Like, they're like, are you a woman yet? And then you're like, I guess so.
Okay. All these feelings are normal, you guys, okay? It's normal. Okay, next slide. It says, when will I get my period? No one can tell exactly when it will start, okay? Many girls get some white or yellow stuff on their underwear. This is called a discharge, okay? If y'all see that, don't get scared. It could be that you're going to start your menstrual soon, okay? Actually, let me touch on this a little more. Hold on. Okay. If you have a yellow or like a white discharge and it doesn't sting, it doesn't have a smell, it doesn't itch, it could possibly just be that you're going to start your period. But tell your parent anyway, tell your moms, okay? If you have one and it smells and you're itching, definitely tell your mom, because it could be a yeast infection or a bacterial infection or something like that, okay? Let's see, where was I? Okay, it is mucus and it tells the girl that her period is coming sometimes within the next year. So that's what that kind of yellow, clear, maybe discharge might be, okay? It's just mucus coming out, and it's letting you know that you might start your period sometime soon, okay? How long will the bleeding last? Each female is different. It can vary from 3 to 8 days. During a period, we only lose a few tablespoons to about half a cup of blood in that time, so it's not a lot. Okay, so your period can last anywhere from 3 days, 4 days, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8. It just depends on your body, okay? Next slide. Okay, how often will I get my period? At first there may not be any pattern to when you will get your next period. Okay? Some women never have a regular pattern. It'll just start whenever. It'll surprise you. Just be like, boom, I'm here. That's happened to me a couple times. In the middle of the night. Anyway. Most women eventually have a regular cycle, and they know approximately when their next period will happen. Okay. And people like that will have a calendar that they keep. They know they'll go by the last week their period came, and then they'll just count. Okay. Hold on. The length of a cycle is from the first day of bleeding 1 month to the first day of bleeding the next time it happened. So that's how you will try and calculate when your next period will start. Each person is different, so some women may have a period every 23 days, some every 28 days, and some every 35 days. Girls keep a calendar to help keep track of their periods and how long it will last. Okay? Once you actually do start your period, your moms will help you with that. Okay? And keep track of it.
And this is important.